Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to cover an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is from a guy, he looks like he's about in his late 20s, and he's going to share his story about how when he was in high school, he had this girl that he hung out with that he was quote-unquote friends with, but deep down he really liked. And I warned you guys about doing that, and many of you guys have done that and learned the hard way. And ultimately, you're going to see here how the guy obviously really liked her, and when he then obviously revealed his interest to her, not only did she have no interest in him, but she was very cruel about it. But ultimately, you're going to see is that later on in life, and by the way, the reasons why she wasn't interested in him is because, in her view, he was poor. But you're going to see, guys, that he doesn't let this take him down. This guy totally turns his life around from his humble beginnings, very successful, a lot of money, and guess, later on down the road, like 10 years later, who comes a-knocking? Who wants him back? Now that he's got money and success. And wait till you see the circumstances behind this. So this guy here is definitely going to have a last laugh, which many of you guys would certainly love to have, given the fact that I'm sure many of you guys were rejected for stupid reasons by girls when you were younger. And the idea of actually being able to then reject them later in life is definitely satisfying. But aside from the entertainment factor, guys, there's definitely a lot of lessons in this story here. And a few of them, one in particular, is the fact that when you're younger, and a lot of women aren't giving you the time of day for whatever reasons, and all of a sudden you get older, let's just say very late 20s, but definitely 30s, you've gotten some success, some money, some resources, doing well for yourself, you've matured, your confidence has grown, you're essentially a man now, and the same girls that wouldn't give you the time of day back in the day now suddenly are, that's a red flag, okay? Because a lot of them are then looking to settle, and they want a guy that they can have, that has resources, a sure thing, when really they're not interested in him, they're interested in his resources. That's a very big, important lesson to you that I can't stress enough. You always have to be very careful and vet these women, if you're honest with yourself and know that. Another one is that how a lot of times, this guy's going to reiterate, they're not interested in you while you're on the way up. They're only interested in you when you are at the top, or at the finish line, if you will. So you got to be very careful about it. And there's many other things I'm going to point out along the way here. So getting into his story, it says, hello SSM. I want to start by saying I'm a big fan and longtime viewer of your channel. I think it's great that guys like you make these types of videos to help young men in the dating world and hopefully help them avoid a bad situation with a bad woman. I would like to share my story with you and your audience to help reassure the saying, women don't care about your struggles, they wait at the finish line and pick the winners. And that men always win at the end as long as you work hard and work on yourself. Yes, absolutely. Work hard, work on yourself, and be aware of reality, of human nature, of nature of everything. And brother, thank you for watching my channel this time. I appreciate your support. He says, my story begins in high school. I was the poor kid and the nerdy kid. Ouch, not a good combination. But I was best friends with a school stud. He says every girl in school wanted to date him. We were childhood friends and would always hang out together. That's interesting that you were best friends with the very popular guy. That's not very common. I'd like to know a little bit more about that. Were your family friends? Were your family's friends or something like that? Because it's usually rare. That's cool, but that's rare. He says, you can say he's the only reason I ever got to high school parties. Anyway, my senior year, my buddy started dating this twin girl. Both twins, my buddy and I would hang out on weekends. The other twin and I would hang out in the living room while my buddy and his girlfriend would go do other stuff in the bedroom. Well, that had to be awkward. And I'm sure, obviously, this twin was good looking, so you were probably hoping you had your shot with her too. Watch this, guys. I, on the other hand, and the other twin, we became good friends. We would talk on the phone every day, hang out at lunch sometimes, and even went to the movies a couple times, just she and I. So in other words, you were girlfriends together. Let's be honest here. Talking on the phone, going to lunch together, going to the movies, hanging out, you were girlfriends. You see, this guy obviously knows better. But and back then in high school, it sucks. High school sucks to begin with. Let me just make that point clear. But unfortunately, in high school, it's like you're in a kind of, like, it's almost like you're in different classes. And not classes like for geometry or trigonometry. I'm talking about an actual class, like where you are in terms of the social hierarchy. Okay? And at the top, you have the aristocracy, so to speak, the popular kids. And at the very bottom, you have the the serfs, either the nerds, the unpopular kids, the poor kids, whatever you want to call them, and you're pretty much stuck there forever because no one's going to see you differently in that time period. So this guy, he said he was the poor kid, the nerdy kid. He may have been hanging out with a girl, but she was never going to see him anything beyond that because that's just how it is in high school. And I'm sure many of you guys can agree with that. But once you get out of high school, oftentimes the cool kids, later on in life, 10, 15 years later, they're working a minimum wage job at Lowe's. I know some. No joke. And meanwhile, it's the unpopular kids that make something themselves, and now they are the aristocracy in terms of their wealth and so forth. Problem is, a lot of those guys are still weak betas because they don't have anybody to learn from, but hopefully guys like me can help you out. But back to the point, they're girlfriends hanging out. And remember, girls hang out with guys, they can take them out, talk to about other guys, hang out with them, give them validation, but they're not interested in them, as you're going to see here. When the day came and I asked her to be my girlfriend, she replied, and I can't remember this very clearly, and I remember this very clearly. She said, and I quote, listen to this, guys, "Ew, no, I'm so sorry, but I could never date a guy like you. You're poor." Ouch. This guy will remember that to the day he dies. This is the girl he really liked. Now notice, he waited for a long time, and then he just asked her to be his girlfriend. Right? Believe me, if she was interested in being his girlfriend, he would know right then and there if she liked him or not. No, he was just her buddy to hang out with, nothing more. That is cruel. It's one thing to reject a guy, say you're not interested, but say actually, ew, no, I could never date a guy like you, you're poor. I mean, that's just cruel. But this guy will have the last laugh. I was so heartbroken because you could say she was my first real crush and the first girl I ever really hung out with. Luckily, the school year was almost over and we were off to college soon. Well, that's good because that way then you don't have to see her all the time and feel embarrassed. He says, that single event destroyed what little confidence I had. I kept to myself in college and never asked any other girls out during that college in fear the same thing would happen, mainly because I was still very poor during college. I could see how that would scar you, man, and people would handle that one of two ways. Either they would pretty much figure that's their lot in life, they're poor, they're rejected, and they wouldn't do anything about it, but complain about it, or they'd say, you know what, I am no longer going to be this way. I'm not going to let myself be poor and feel like a second-class citizen. I'm going to take action and better my life. And you're going to see here, this guy does the second option, which is awesome. He says, fast forward to 10 years later, and I almost had the 4 sixes. 6-figure career, I'm 6'2", I'm 6 in the pants, and the only thing I'm missing is a 6-pack abs, but those aren't going to come soon. I own multiple properties and a couple of luxury cars. Yes, I can proudly say I'm no longer that broken poor kid. Sweet, brother. Sweet. See? You turn your life and your situation around. That's all you can do. I'm really proud of you. Now, guys, as life is interesting, take a wild guess who's going to come back in the picture. He says, sadly, my buddy passed away in a car accident a few years ago. Like I said, he was a stud and popular guy, so there was a lot of people there. To my surprise, the twin girls were there too. He said, now they're twin women. I didn't recognize them at first because it's been years, and frankly, they didn't look as good as they did in high school. Well, that's usually how it goes, because they're now in their late 20s. I went to my 10-year reunion, and I was just baffled at how so many, both men and women that were once the jocks, the athletes and everything, or the cheerleaders, 10 years later, they're 30 pounds heavier and so on and so forth, and just these girls that were once really pretty girls, it's like, ugh, I wouldn't touch them with a 100-meter pole. And a lot of guys got fat and amongst many other things. He says, later that week, I got a Facebook friend request from the twin that rejected me all those years ago. Imagine that, now that you're looking good and doing well. It turns out now she is a, wait for it, a single mom. She would message me day and night requesting we went on a date. So she's relentlessly pursuing you. The same girl that said, ew, I'd never date you because you're poor and all that. Now she's relentlessly pursuing you because you're successful. You're looking good. You're taking care of yourself. And wait for it, as I said before, she has a child. And she's on her own. Don't fall for it. I finally gave in and we went on a date and fooled around for a few months. I get that you did that kind of as like perhaps your high school self was wanting to get that girl that once rejected you, or maybe you want some payback. But when it's blatantly obvious that the only reason she's contacting you is for she's single and has a child and is responsible for her, and you're now successful, I just wouldn't give her the time of day. I would have blocked her ass. That would have been a payback in and of itself, because you have to reject her or rejected you. But you'll see how this goes. So he's dating her for a few months and hooking up and all. He says she would come over for sleepovers, take pictures of my jacuzzi and next to my cars for her Instagram likes. What is she, 12? This shows exactly her character. She's going over your house taking pictures of your jacuzzi and cars for Instagram. That shows you right then and there she's using you. He says she kept referring to herself as my wife and would randomly suggest that we have a baby together. No, then you're trapped. Get out of there, or shall I say get her out of there. It was getting too crazy for me, so I decided to cut it off. Good. I had my fun, she was my high school dream girl, and I got to scratch that person from the bucket list. When I cut her off, she asked me why. I simply replied, sorry, I don't date single mums like you. Whew. Ouch. Now, as funny as that is, and perhaps warranted given the fact that she said, I could never date a poor guy like you back in high school, I wouldn't have done that. And the reason is because that could unleash the Kraken. That could unleash the psycho. And you're going to see here, just as I suspected when I first read this guy's story, that's exactly what happens here. Watch what happens next. I simply would have just said, hey, it's not working out. It's been fun, but I wish you the best. But I'm also in my 40s, lived longer. But watch what happens how she responds to that comment. He says, she went ape shit crazy and stormed off. A few days later, someone broke into my house and stole money, about $2,000 and a few other valuables. Hot crazy scale. Gee, never could have saw that coming. I filed a police report and got the insurance company involved. Days later, I got a text from her saying, thank you for the Gucci bag. You know, I'm not in law enforcement and I'm not an attorney, but given the fact that your house was broken into, money was stolen, I would have pursued that with the police. Said, look, I suspect it was this woman. She texted me, taunting me. Can things be done to investigate and see how much that Gucci bag cost? To see a trace of the money where it came from? You get my point. Thanks for the Gucci bag. This is why I say he shouldn't have gotten involved with her. I talked with another good buddy from high school who happens to know her too. He suggested I put cameras in my house, buy a safe, and just let it go because the girl is batshit crazy. Oh, no. I would not let that go. I took his advice, and luckily, I haven't had another incident at my house. Going back to the women don't care about your struggles. They wait at the finish line and pick the winners. I feel like this is a perfect example of this. Yes, it is. Exactly, sir. It shows she didn't care about me when I was that poor kid in high school, but now wanted marriage and a child with me years later after I got my life together. Thank you again for your great videos, SSM, and God bless. Well, you're welcome, bro, and thank you for sharing your story. I really appreciate that. But again, guys, perfect example. This is why I tell you guys that are younger, mark my words, if you're doing well, if you spent your high school years and college years and 20s, you're not getting a whole lot of attention, but you didn't feel sorry for yourself, you're turning your life around, you're making something of yourself, which you all should be, no matter how old you are. I don't care if you're 80 years old watching this. There could be something you could do to making your life better, or have some meaning, some purpose to get up every day. If you're doing that and you were getting the time of day when you're younger, mark my words, down the road, probably in your 30s, those that wouldn't give you the time of day will be coming after you. And you've got to be so careful, okay? For you relationship guys, okay? Doesn't mean that every single one is going to be like that. But if in that case it was someone from your past that rejected you like this and now is interested in you, it's for one thing and one thing only. That is it. I wouldn't have bothered. I get why he did. He was still in his 20s. He's a lot younger than me. And there's that, sense of payback. I would have blocked her on Facebook, end of story. But I could see he was just dying to see what would happen. And of course, have a roll in the hay. But then again, she's not as appealing as she was back in high school. But guys, they're going to come after you. So you can be very careful. Otherwise, you could be used. Can you imagine what would happen if she ended up getting pregnant? Guarantee she would have kept that child, because that would have been her meal ticket. Whether this guy married her or not, she would then have an insurance policy to get money for the next 18 years. And you know darn well it's unfortunate, but there are people like this that are leeches, they're vampires, and they're going to use you. So you must be careful, gentlemen. You guys that do relationships, you must take a long time before you go from dating to an actual relationship. 6 months minimum to really vet them, get to know them, make them work to get you, because they'll appreciate you more, by the way, if they got to work to get you. Guys they can get just like that, they lose interest in immediately and treat like crap. And then if you guys should get really serious or get married, because a lot of guys who watch me, you're going to get married whether you admit it or not, years and years being together to really see what she's like. And every possible situation, scenario hits the relationship to see how she responds. Is she a good communicator? Or is she passive aggressive? Is she good with money? Does she spend every dollar that she has and racks up her credit cards? Well, that's a no-go. Or is she someone more like to save? You guys same value, same interest, those type of things. So you got to be careful. And the other lesson here is also, guys, purpose, working on yourself, improving yourself. This guy did not, his heart was stomped out by her rejecting him, but perhaps in a way that was the thing that fueled his drive for success. If you're somewhere in life, guys, that you don't want to be, whether you are 100 pounds overweight, or you are broke, or don't have a lot of money, or anything, you don't like your job, you and only you have the power to turn that around. It can be done. It could take years, but it can be done. Because otherwise, if you're unwilling to do anything, then you got no reason to complain. All right? Let me tell you guys, I've been on YouTube now for a year. What the hell is it? October, November, December, January, February. 1 year and 8 months. And I cannot believe the success I've had on here. I started a second channel. If you haven't checked out the second channel, They Did What? Check it out. You wouldn't believe. I can't believe how I've done. But I have been busting my ass. And for you guys in the beginning, you can see how many videos I've done since then. It's been my purpose. But the thing is, I love what I do. And now I'm reaping all the rewards of it. And the sky's the limit. And I'm just going to keep pushing forward. I absolutely love this, But I decided one day I had a passion for YouTube. And I always wanted to do well on YouTube. To sit down, start videos, and make it happen. I wasn't very good in the beginning. I was terrible on camera. If you go back and look at my early videos I first started, I wasn't as animated and relaxed and having a good old time like I was before. I was definitely nervous, and I was relaxed. But I got better with time, and I was hell-bent on becoming successful. And sky's the limit. And I got plenty of other ideas I want to do. Doesn't mean they're all going to work. No. But I'm going to keep trying to make things better, and so on and so forth. I mean, I'm 44 in about 2 months, give or take. So I got plenty of things I want to do. And I guarantee you, in 20 years, when I'm freaking 60, almost 64 years old, unless something happens to me, I'm going to keep aiming for new things, new ventures, new ideas, because it's fun and drive. I want to make things happen. That's a purpose, guys. That's masculine energy. I want all you guys to be like that one way, because you're going to feel great about yourself. You're going to do well financially. You'll be the envy of a lot of people, and that could be both good and bad, but it is what it is. That's what I want. And this guy, he didn't just accept him being poor as his lot in life. He turned shit around. And now he's a success. So hopefully that crazy girl isn't starting more problems. I hope he learns never get involved with someone like that, and be very careful with those gals that are interested. Now, I know I've gone on a long time here, but remember, guys, this channel isn't just about entertaining stories and articles. It's also about helping you guys learn and improve. And I know a lot of you guys, a majority, value my opinion in the learning element. So there you go. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.